demystifying taxes, this is kind of a mystery how I got to be your speaker.
You were nominated.
You were at the meeting. I'm going to show you, as I was looking to try and find the right words and some of the right things to explain the levy process, I went to the District 90 website, and there is an incredible amount of information on their website about the schools, how they run, and all those kinds of things. And one of the presentations on there is the 2011 tax levy process, which is the levy process that is going to affect your taxes when the bills come out of your return shortly. And I used Dr. Todd Kale, did this presentation, as he does every year, and he's got some very, very good information in it, factual information in it, that I chose to use. And I'm not going to talk to every slide, they're not mine, but there are things that I specifically do want to talk about, and I think you'll find interesting. The other thing you need to know, well, two things that's very important that you know. I am not here to represent the District 90 School Board. I have no authority, no responsibility, and no desire to try and talk to the board. There's only two people that can do that. One is the board president, and the other is the superintendent of schools. I'm not here as a board member to speak to the board. The other is, I'm going to give you this presentation as the levy process as viewed by and understood by Steve Springer, not by statute, not by all the legal ins and outs of the process. So some of the things you're going to see here on the screen, I'm going to skip over, but most of them are. Okay, the tax levy itself. It says there, each Board of Education makes an annual levy in terms of dollar amounts, certifies this levy to the respective county clerks. That's kind of after the process, but once they set up the dollar amount, a tax levy is a dollar amount. And then that goes to the county clerk and it's verified, certified. They are for the budget year, the following budget year, which runs from the 1st of July in a year through the 30th of June the following year. And non-tax revenues are estimated at that time. Now, it says non-tax revenues, but I think what Dr. Kale meant to say was non-property tax revenues, because all the revenues the district gets are in effect tax revenues. There's federal taxes, state taxes, mobile home taxes, and a whole slew of other cats and dogs. Then the difference between the non-tax revenue and the estimated needed funds is, Mr. Technology, the needed funds becomes the levy amount. And that's called an extension. When it's turned into taxes, after the tax rate, that's called a tax extension. That's the amount of money the county will give to, it's the amount of your tax dollars the county then dispenses to the school district. And I'll have you know that I can say that I know most school boards work very close to the same way. My guess is that the other taxing bodies, whether it be the library or the city, at least a similar fashion, probably not identical. The tax levy is an estimate of the tax revenue the district will receive. The tax rate applied to the EAV. That's a definition I don't know I really want to get into today. It will be later. And then the multiplier of a growth factor. That whole thing, it's your big pot of money. You take the tax rate times that amount. And
we do have one of the series is to talk about the equalized assessed valuation.
Good, because that can get real sticky. The estimated levy calculations based on recognized growth data, historical trends, all the kind of information you can use to put together an estimate of revenues and expenses. Now, Dr. Kale spends a lot of time doing this. He works with the folks over at the city. He works with the folks down at the county. He gets the best information he can. And my observation of him over the last 5 years, when it comes to projecting an EAV or a multiplier, he comes very, very close most all the time. The tax rates are limited by voter-approved legal requirements and estimated costs. in specifics as needed funds. Now, there are two different types of funds. And I'll get to that in a minute. I got ahead of myself here. Okay. This, as I said, is from the tax levy process last year. The levy is presented, or was presented on November 15th, 2011. It's always presented at the November school board meeting. The truth and taxation hearing notice was published on December 9th. That is a required legal requirement that says once you present the levy, there has to be a notice into the paper to the public that this is what the levy is and what we intend to do, and then there has to be a hearing. So that's the hearing notice. The levy hearing then was on December 20th, roughly a month after the presentation of the levy. And there are legal dates, and I started to look them up, but I didn't get it done. It's roughly a month between the levy presentation and the levy hearing, and it's got to be at least a week or 10 days between the hearing notice and the hearing itself. And then the levy has to be filed prior to the last Tuesday of December. I meant to look that one up for sure because the last Tuesday of December is pretty quick after December 20th.
Yeah, no time to No time to
Now, here's where Steve Springer has a problem with the levy process. If you look at this, none of the taxing bodies have to tell you anything about, by law, don't have to tell you anything about the levy process or about the tax levy that they're looking at until November. Then it goes, it's been presented, so now it has to sit out for public view, public inspection. And that sits as a piece of paper in the district office. You can go and sit down there and read it. It's also on a website, which now is much more user-friendly or customer-friendly, so you can view it on the website. But no action is taken between then, and then, of course, then you have the hearing notice, but then at the levy hearing itself, that's when you have the opportunity to come and speak about the tax levy. Why is it 8%? Why is it 10%? Why is it so much? Why are we spending this? Why are we doing that? Now, to me, I'll come back to that in a second. So what determines the levy? Okay, I'll do this one here, and then we'll talk about determining that. This is the tax breakout for our District 90 in O'Fallon. $1.40 per $100 of evaluation on your home goes to education, 40 cents O&M, transportation, those others. Those are restricted funds. Those are set by law, and the only way they can be changed upward is by referendum. The ones that say as needed there, that goes to the county clerk. For example, the Social Security. We pay Social Security costs on our employees. So we know how much we're going to pay them by contract the next year. That's a pretty easy math problem. County clerk knows the math problem. They say you have that much money, therefore in order to pay that, your assessment, your tax rate for Social Security will be 3 cents or 4 cents, whatever it turns out to be. That's true on all those as needed things, and it's also true of the debt service. The county knows what our debts are, how much money we borrowed to build the school, how much money we would possibly like to borrow, maybe $1.6 million to buy computers and augment the general fund. And after you figure out all those debts, then the payment schedule, it's another easy math problem. So we have to assess our taxpayers this much money to pay off that debt service. Like you do if you're, okay.
What's IMRF?
IMRF is Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund.
Yeah.
Pensions. Quick question, Robert.
The debt service,
Debt service.
is that the only one that isn't some type of either calculation or required by voter referendum item on that list? In other words, IMRF, statutory immunity and Social Security is a calculation based on your.
So is the debt service.
Current
Your
information.
stuff. Well, no, because debt service can be adjusted by debt. The debt service itself is set, but the debt isn't. The debt can be changed as necessary. That's my question.
Yes, but when it goes to the county, the debt is a specific amount, therefore it's calculated to cover that particular debt.
Isn't health, life, and safety unrestricted?
Just something on that.
Health, life, safety is a restricted fund.
It is a restricted fund? Oh, okay.
Okay. This is just kind of a gee whiz, I really don't want to talk about it too much, other than to say that the residential property taxes paid, there's 86, almost 86% of the monies coming into the district, 9.3% commercial, property taxes, 5.4% farm, and then there's a couple of cats and dogs with railroad and minerals in it.
That's for this district only.
Yes.
Districts have different ratios depending on what the property ratio
That's
is.
on Central. Okay, so I skipped down other stuff. If you're interested later, it talks a little bit about some things that Dr. Kale and the board has done to reduce expenditures in the district, but it's really not germane to the discussion we're setting them up.